All right, we're rolling again, and welcome, Niklas.
Thanks.
Well, once again, Peter is out for his I don't even know what he's doing today, but
People with a job.
yeah,
Two
he's so
jobs.
busy. It's so hard being such a popular guy, but apparently it takes time.
Just
But
tell people on Twitter you're doing something with AI and then,
yeah,
too busy.
yeah, just mention MCP once, and
Exactly.
everybody starts throwing money in your face.
Yep.
Luckily, we have good friends of the show. I think your name has come up a bunch of times already. Your name is Niklas Stephenson. Welcome, Niklas. You are a builder like Peter and I, and we also have a history that goes maybe 20 years almost at this point back.
Almost, I found old pictures of you at an event in Copenhagen where Zendesk was telling the first time about them moving to the US and getting Twitter as a client. And I think that was
Wow.
'09,
Yeah, yeah.
and you still look like a baby.
I don't think I'll ever get rid of that. Yeah, yeah. I moved to Aarhus in '07, and it can be later than '08 or something that we met for the first time. Yeah, crazy young dudes, young guns out
Very young
for
ones.
trouble.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You
we
were
ended up.
actually the reason that I built my first company because you introduced me to a guy called Harry.
Yeah.
Because I hired you to solve something that was too complex, and then you met a guy in a bar in Aalborg, and you were drunk, but he sounded clever. And I remember that you had to go back to the bar, hoping that you would meet him again because you didn't have any contact information on him.
Oh,
So that was actually
right.
how I met my co-founder.
Yeah, that's right. We were sitting outside a punk bar in our like so tight pants that we could barely like put them on. And we were talking about RSpec and like Ruby test frameworks and IRC, and he was like, "Yeah, this guy can become a friend." That's the that's the
And here
feeling I
we
had.
are, many years
Here we
later,
are.
still using RSpec.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Hej Lips and Aalborg too now. Anyway, we ended up working together in your company called Firmaphone, which was a tiny telco in Denmark for companies, I guess.
I
And
think today is the biggest SMB telco in Denmark, which is something.
probably, yeah, you ended up selling it to one of the big ones. That's how it goes with all the telcos, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, circle of life.
yeah, so the prophecy came true. And now you are building your own thing. You spent a few years working for others as like a product guy, and now you're building your own thing. But actually, I think in the beginning you identified as a designer more. Is that right?
That's right. And today I suck at design.
I don't think so,
I,
but
I
it's
yeah, I
interesting,
started
right?
out, as many other young people, I figured out that I could do something online. I sucked at video games, and I still went to the LAN parties because that was where all my friends went. And then I just learned to do HTML and Photoshop there instead. And in ninth grade, then started a consultancy. I found a piece of open source software where people would hire designers or template implementers for that software, and that just became my main gig while going to high school, and that was why I identified as a designer in the beginning, right?
Yeah, yeah, because back then there was like barely any notion of being a product developer. You were like either a business guy or
Yeah.
programmer guy or a designer guy. And I say guy deliberately, sadly so, but it was almost like that. Yeah, and of course now it's a much broader space, but these days you probably identify more as a product person.
Product person slash kind of a bit of everything. So I code every day, I design every day. But you can say if I were asked about my profession, it would probably be product leader. So I've done a lot of product leadership, had a lot of VP roles in product organizations, figuring out how does product map into a larger company, how do we deliver what we are selling, and how do we make customers happy and make a business at the same time, and also just like broad leadership in kind of the technology sphere as well, right? So for the last 5 years, that has been my role at a few different companies.
And it's funny, like the product role, like because it's so vaguely defined, I guess some people treat it just like like a scrum master almost.
yeah.
And for others, it's like the grown up in the room that has to like go to the programmers and say like, "Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing?" And other times it's like some product managers even do designs or prototypes, or some even code too as well. So it's yeah.
I think in many ways we as a profession have shot ourselves in the foot by hiring to a quota. We need a certain amount of PMs because we have a certain amount of agile teams, and they all need a PM. So now we need 20 PMs, right? So we ended up with a lot of junior people. And if there's one role where I really have learned to not appreciate junior people, it's actually in the PM role, because your responsibility is making sure that the stuff that the team builds is creating value for the company and for the customers, right? So in many ways, you have to understand so much context about the world you are in, the industry you are in, technology, design, all of these areas, right? The company, like you are the one who is facilitating, making sure that the company's vision gets into the product, right? And then you have companies who hire hundreds of junior people straight out of school who have never built a business to sit with that responsibility, right? So these days, I actually help on the side of my other projects. I help a few founders trying to not have to hire PMs until they get to a certain size. Because I see so many companies just hiring too many and way too early. So I'm actually building up a course called Founder-Led Product. I have the .com as well, which is one
nice.
of the $9 walks with my kids to get them to sleep.
Yeah.
Because I really believe that there's been just way too many PMs doing stuff that is too hard to explain what they're actually doing. But in the end, these are the people who are building the business through the products we are selling, right? And those people need to know their shit, right?
Yeah.
In many ways, that's a founder job for the long duration of a company, right?
What was it called again? Founder-led development?
Founder-led product.
Product. All right, yeah. Yeah, because actually, like as an indie developer sort of person, it is the role that, like, it's the definition that gets closest to defining what you even are, right? Because you have a responsibility that encapsulates all of development. And of course, where do you put the effort? Like, what's important right now? And that's the job of a product manager.
Yeah.
So that's funny. Yeah.
When you need a product manager is when the inputs are so big that you need a person to kind of handle them. So, in bigger companies, there's a lot of stakeholder management, there's a lot of customer contact, there's all of that stuff, right? And when it goes from being a founder's full-time job to being something you need to scale, that is when the company, either because of a lot of customers or a lot of internal stakeholders or whatnot, becomes a size where one person cannot handle it anymore, right? That's for me where it makes sense to have a PM, not just because you have X amount of engineers, right? I think 37 Signals, I'm huge fans of theirs and been for many, many years. I think one of the things that ShapeOff has done really well is actually to figure out a shared language for how to talk about product with engineers and with their teams, and then scale that so few people can actually manage the product management side of building the business, even though the engineering team is growing, right?
I've also seen companies starting to look for and call it like product engineers, which is a role that sort of takes a small step into being a product manager for yourself, right? For an engineer.
And you see the same with design. Like, I'm a huge fan of the product design role, right? Where it's someone with a product mindset, but one of their ways to express it is through the design, and one of the ways to lean into delivering it is through actually delivering the design side, right?
Yeah, definitely. And funnily enough, with like all the LLMs and the AI coding, I'm starting to feel more and more like a product owner myself in my own show.
It's me and my Claude developers, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It
So
definitely
it
feels more of being a PM, right?
It's crazy. And I know that you've been
just being a developer.
Sorry?
And I kind of miss just being a developer. I really like writing code, but I can also see how I can just scale my impact, right?
It's crazy. But my feeling is that you can still do it. Like, you just you're in control, right? If you want to go into detail with one thing, you can do it, and if you don't with another thing, then don't. I mean, that's
Yeah,
that's how I'm.
sometimes I go into detail with the test, and other times I go into detail with the feature, right? And it just depends on, yeah. I think I find myself rarely doing organic code for the entire thing. There's usually one part of it where some kind of agent is playing a role, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm seeing that too. So you recently launched your first solo project in a while called Teach with three E's. Is
Yeah,
that how you say it?
yeah.
Teach.
I just say teach. I think I was on the hunt for available.com, and I thought of Dribble, and I was like, they had like three B's, and maybe
Yeah.
I can just do teach with three E's, and it was available. I was like, yeah, let's just run with that.
Let's
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 just
go.
spend more time.
I'm coming off of fun with three N's, but that was .co, so it was like it was a mess. It was just too many hoops.
I'm
But
available
that's
to go. Like I'll go through hoops to get a .com, but
yeah,
the other domains, it needs to be straight out great, right?
yeah. It's like you can like slack on one uh scale, but not all of them. Yeah, it's almost not even it. It's like my friend Morten had a rule for he's a comedian for like when to accept jobs. It's like it can either be fun to make, a fun result, or pay a lot of money, and you have to cover two of those to accept the job. It can't just be one of them. That's the same with domain names. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it can be .com, it can be like a real word, and it can be like yeah whatever. Yeah, but teach. What is teach then?
It's a journey. Teach is a reaction to a project I did together with my sister. So my sister's a midwife, and she is a independent midwife, and she does a lot of like consultancy work, right? Helping someone who is pregnant with whatever things that she's doing. And of course, as everybody else who's selling hours, she wanted to scale her business. So she recorded a 12-hour long video course. And of course, as the tech person in the family, I was charged with recording it, editing it, and making sure we could sell it online, right?
Fixing the
And I can
printer
tell
while
you,
you work.
looking at 18 hours of raw footage of your sister, it's a job to get through. So it was rough, but got through it. And then she was using Squarespace for her website, and they just launched a video course feature. And I was like, great, then I don't need to do anything. But the truth is that the product just sucked. It was quite expensive. It was just really crappy to work in. It was clear that they just kind of shoved it in there to check a checkbox for yet another feature. And then the price was, in my world, horrendous for something like we've never tried to do a video course before, right? But we had to pay quite a lot of money up front to get this feature. And then, life happened, and a few things have stepped in the way for her actually launching it. And that's now a year ago. And then, a few months ago, I just got like an invoice from Squarespace saying, "Oh, you just paid for yet another year," and and we only test sold it to 3 people, but haven't really gone live yet. And I'm still paying this tremendous amount of money. But if I
Yeah.
cancel it, the 3 people who have bought it will lose access, right? So Teach is basically just a simple take on only being a video course product where you can sell your video course and your customers can get access to it. All I charge is a revenue share model, so I take 10% of the sale. That's it. And then your customers will have access to it until you delete it. And then it's not all the other things. If you look at some of these video course platforms, and it's not only Squarespace, it's all of them. They've pivoted out to being a website builder, a email marketing tool, all of these things. And we already had a website. We already had an email marketing tool. We already had these things, but we didn't like the video course product in the things that we had. So if I would go out and buy Podia or some of the other great tools, I would buy double or pay double for yet another website builder, yet another email tool, yet another, right? So Teach is just trying to only be the video course tool and then have a price where you don't take a risk by trying to make a video course.
By being solely revenue share.
Solely revenue share model, right? You don't even pay me. I only get money when you as a course teacher sell your course, right? And then you don't have a running cost for having it up for the 5 people you successfully sold to afterwards, right? Yeah. And then it's also just a fun size product that I could build myself, right? Where I could kind of see that I could take the entirety of it and actually get it out.
Yeah. I like revenue share. That's my game.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see if the model works. I've done SaaS pricing for 15 years and
Yeah.
always struggled with aligning incentives. And that has always been a core part of the problem. And now that I was sitting on, like I use Stripe Connect as you do for managing the payments, right, and paying out to the teachers. And now that I was sitting on the revenue, it's just so easy to just make it a revenue share model. But I have not sat down and done the calculations with if the video hosting over X amount of months will actually like make sense, and if 10% is the right number or whatever. I just picked the number and went live.
Yeah. I'm doing the same with Funnymost, so we can definitely get into it. And
Yeah.
revenue share is a fun one because like you don't set their price.
No,
So,
exactly.
but you have the same costs, right?
Yeah.
If they host 20 videos in 4K, you'll pay one amount. But if they sell it then for $5, that's of course that's not gonna pay for it. So there's some trickery there. There's like you have to get it right. But
I think there's
like
kind of some unit economics that will work out when you get to scale. I think it's the business model where you should not look at the individual case you're getting on your platform, but where you look at the entirety, right? If someone comes in and sells, 2,000 units of $1,000 and you get 10% of that, then I can easily pay for those 4K videos, right?
yeah.
And that will then finance some of the ones where the platform economics doesn't really make sense. That's at least what I'm hoping for.
yeah. It's a fun one. So I've actually moved on Funnymost to a model where they pay a fixed price per sale. So that makes sure that it covers my costs, I guess.
Yeah.
At least takes
It
tries to.
I set a minimum price on the courses.
Yeah, and that's what I think I'll move to actually, because I'm talking with my friend Ruben, who just released his show, and he thought it was crazy that I didn't take a percentage. Because that's what his agent does and what his booker does, and it's like in entertainment it's like a common model that you take percentages because you help sell it. You're like part of the the incentives are better. So I think I'll move to it actually.
People will look at it and compare it to just the charging price of payments online, right?
Yeah.
And that's included in my price, but that's how they're used to calculating it as well, right? And actually, most of my competitors, they have a fairly expensive monthly subscription, but then they also have a payment fee.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's what unlocks the percentage based one for me again is like having a minimum, so making sure that my base are cost
One of my first
are covered.
customers complained about, or didn't complain, but he made me aware that you could create a free course and then it would just be free video hosting, right?
Yeah.
So I had to make that validation. Yeah. And I support multiple currencies, so it had to be like in yen. How many yen does it has to be? Euros and,
all right, yeah.
Cursor made a nice long validation with all the currencies that I support.
Yeah. Give me VAT percentages from the whole world.
And it's funny because the entirety of the platform, which is fairly simple, fairly small, right? But the actual Stripe Connect integration is by far the biggest part of the code base.
Yeah.
Like managing all the edge cases, managing VAT, managing the sub accounts and all of that stuff, right? There's actually quite a lot of business logic in there.
Yeah.
And it's just as, the video hosting part is very slim. I also use Mox as you do, right?
Yeah.
And then the rest is a little bit of account handling and so on, right? But the big chunk of business logic is all Stripe related. So I've been angry at Stripe a few times on Twitter and had a few conversations with product managers from Stripe. Yeah.
It used to be so easy. It was just like charge.create and money just flew through the internet.
It used to be so great. And it is so clear to me that their market today is not the solo creators. Their market today is like Connect is used by Shopify for Shopify Pay, which is 1/3 of all e-commerce in the world, right? It's just like a different market that they are of course going after because their business is also a percentage business. So it's more fun to get big customers than small customers, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It actually led me to considering building a Stripe alternative, but then Polar came out and did really well, and they just raised a $10 million seed round.
And there are 3 people currently.
The idea was great. I should just probably have been a year too earlier.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, they're really doing it. What was I thinking? Yeah, Mux is great. Connect. I'm not doing that much connected. Like you can rely on Stripe, the hosted version, so much these days. So using the hosted checkout, you get so much for
my
free.
problem is that I want to create an account and so on at the same time, and then I think the user experience of using the hosted checkout just became a little bit like too many compromises.
Yeah, right.
So I ended up just using an embedded payment instead. Yeah, and this I think it mostly just speaks to how simple Teach is as a code base because it's very big, right? But it is just the biggest kind of island of code.
Yeah. Well, I've actually changed this recently. So it used to be that you needed... Hej Tue. Jeg er lige ved at optage noget, så du må lige finde et andet sted at hænge ud, skat. Maybe we'll get a surprise visit from my son. Tue, jeg skal lige optage noget. Vil du ikke smule sted? Please. Okay. Så snakker jeg bare videre med Niklas. Okay. So it used to be that I put the account creation up front. So you had to make an account before you could purchase a show. But I actually made it so that you get sent directly to checkout now. And then put whatever email you have inside Stripe. And then there's like 3 cases. So one case is that it's a new customer. I don't have to do any validation. I just make an account for that email and then sign them in immediately. And then there's the case that there's an existing user that's signed in. And in that case, they're already signed in, so I could just like send them on. But the third case is that there's an existing user and they aren't signed in. And that's the problem where I used to be that I would sign them in. But of course, that makes it so that you can sign into any account by just buying a show with the right email.
The rest of them.
Yeah, so in that case, I make a token sign in and I redirect it to them.
Yeah, I think you have an upcoming podcast host there.
Yeah. Clown. Circus clown, maybe? I don't know. Du skal ikke glemme noget, du skal.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. What was I thinking? So, how are you developing this? What are your favorite tools? Is it Claude or is it Cursor or is it all of them or is it one of them or is it like one for each thing?
Yeah, so it's a simple Rails stack, and I've been using Rails for many, many years, right? And I actually find that in the beginning I was quite skeptical with AI. And then one day I've made an API service in Rails, and then I was just like, oh, let's fucking try it again. And then Cursor just one-shot a SDK gem, like a Ruby gem for my API. Just in one go, it all just like
Wow.
and tests worked, and I was like, okay, I need to do this. And since then, I've been on Cursor as the main tool I was used to code and kind of the VS Code. So that was an easy switch. I only just last week started using Cursor. And I actually just tried to make a feature before this call where I would only use Cursor and kind of no IDE or anything, just in the terminal, nothing else. Which
Cursor in the terminal?
No, Claude, sorry. Just
Claude, yeah. All right, yeah.
no editor at all.
Yeah.
It was fun, and I definitely needed some more visibility. So now I mainly use Claude inside Cursor and then jump a little bit.
Oh, right.
Too. Which works fairly well.
And there's like an interrupt there with like Claude knows that it's running inside Cursor, right?
Yeah.
Or VS Code, so
they can.
there's probably some API layer there that you can hook into.
But yeah, and that works fairly well. I think it still needs to get better at design. Like that's really the big thing I'm missing. Like I would love if Tailwind built a MCP that could just like give me perfect components, for what I was doing.
Yeah.
Or if NitroKit just had way more stuff. That's
yeah.
a good thing.
That's another.
Like I would love to have some kind of design MCP where I had to do less tweaking of all the crappy Tailwind stuff it's been trained on, of free stuff out there that doesn't look great.
Yeah. Do you send it screenshots?
What, sorry?
Do you send it screenshots?
Sometimes I send it whimsical wireframes.
Yeah, so upfront, yeah.
Yeah. Saying, and this is the structure I want, right? But then it still has ugly shadows or whatever,
Yeah,
right? Or a border that
yeah.
doesn't fit the rest of the application or stuff like that, right?
Yeah, so I was thinking more because I think the thing that's missing from design is it that I think it actually might have some okay taste in there, but it just doesn't have the visuals of it, so it can't do introspection. What I've noticed is that sometimes when it's writing code, it does one pass where it writes it, and then another pass where it reads it again, and then a third pass where it's like rewriting it. And it can't do that with design, right? It's like only guessing at what it would end up looking like. So if there's like one thing I've thought about is like to have like find an MCP that can make it run Chrome and then do its own screenshots. Maybe a headless one, maybe what's it called, Cop, right? The test runner. Or another version is just like sending it screenshots saying this is what it looks like now. Fix it or make it prettier.
Yeah. So I used to be VP product at Whimsical, who has this wireframing tool, which is really great. It also has a lot of other tools, but that's one of the products, right? And the CEO, Kasparas, just shared on Twitter earlier today, I think, a new product that they're making, which is basically, instead of chatting with your code AI, you draw with it. So you draw a wireframe and then you get it to make it, or you draw a flow chart and it will make a page with that page tree or whatever, right? So I think there's something where kind of, yes, it's fine to chat or talk with your AI, but there's also that visual input is really lacking something that is different than today.
Yeah, I think, there's something there with like speaking out loud and like text to text or speech to text, and then maybe having an iPad or like a Wacom tablet or something where you can like there's it's still missing some tools that you would use with your coworkers, right?
It's back to being a PM. I want to stand there with a whiteboard.
Almost like you need one of the smart screens from like the schools where you could like
just a good camera and a whiteboard.
It's
been a fantastic interface to build software for 20 years, right? It doesn't stop just because it's an AI.
I did that just yesterday. Pulled up a TL draw and this just like drew very crude, like it was almost like rectangular. And this is a button, this is a text field, and it just immediately understood it. It's so crazy that it gets it, but still, like to describe that, it wouldn't be as good as drawing it. So there's still something there. And I think that's part of it with design, that it can't introspect like what it looks like already. And then
I think another side where I can start to get frustrated and angry is that when it does extra stuff. Let's say I ask it to make a test of this feature I just wrote, and then it builds a show action for that feature. It's like I didn't ask you to do like a show invoice HTML page when I've already built like the index page and a PDF link. Like Now you're just kind of shoving stuff in there that shouldn't be there, right? And I find quite often that it goes on kind of side quests to build more product there.
I mean it like someone tweeted at some point like the LLMs are only like alive when they are typing. So of course it makes sense that it wants to keep typing, because as soon as it stops typing, it's dead. That's why.
And then the other day I gave Claude access to just run my deploy script without asking.
I saw that.
And then there was a test it couldn't get to pass, and then it just deleted the test and deployed.
Like a proper senior developer would have done the same.
Exactly. And then it asked it to re-implement the test, and it was just like, we should probably do that. And then it just ended it didn't do it, but it just asked for the next input.
We should definitely do that. So what else do you want to?
And that just totally reminded me of exactly pair programming with a junior person, right? And the shoulder, or just looking at myself on a late Friday night wanting to get a feature out, right? And have a flaky test.
That's my new take on how to use code, actually, is to use it like a harder, better, faster, stronger version of yourself.
Yeah.
So make it be the developer that you aspire to be. Actually, like make it create issues before implementing anything.
Yeah.
when it's done the issue, when you've planned it, then start writing. Then look at it like not necessarily in detail, but still like look at what goes out of it, and then do PR reviews.
You're a team lead, right? It's
on GitHub.
What a middle manager role is in a big SaaS company, and
exactly.
You don't do the shit yourself, but you tell other people how to do it, right?
Yeah,
it's the exact same thing.
But it also like it also is in terms of like quality control. Like you don't have to have everything be 100% like you would have written it. Like it's okay sometimes. It's just like this is 80% good. Let's just go with it. There's definitely another thing that's like making me more into a product owner than a developer.
One small hack I did in my rules file was that I cited a book. I think it's called Scalable Rails or Sustainable Rails or something like that. That has like a lot of conformity on how you should write your Rails apps.
Nice.
And I just said like follow the principles of this book, which I'm also trying to follow, but I'm not doing it precisely enough.
Yeah.
And now it actually follows those principles fairly well when it remembers to use the rule file. And that just makes sure that we had the same code style in an easy way, right? And that actually helped quite a lot.
That's actually also one of the reasons that I've been moving back towards like stock Rails, like make it look like just ordinary boring Rails code, because much of the aspect and all those test things that I've been doing over the years have been to like save on typing. Like typing was just such a chore, especially for tests. It's like, can I just be done with it? But now that like typing isn't an issue at all, it's actually better to have like a very long test with all the context present, like, because as soon as it's written and it's green and it does what it needs to do, you almost want to just forget it. Like now it's just like a safety insurance that from now on things are going to work the same. But it's only like I only want to look at this test ever again if it starts failing, and at that point I might have forgotten everything. So like having the whole context at the ready is better than whatever typing I might have saved by doing it like this intricate before this, then that, and then let this, and then
my very small project here has more than 700 assertions.
Yeah. You wouldn't have ever written 700.
580 of them written by an AI, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. I think the only place where I start to have kind of that model breaking down is when the AI thinks that the test is the true implementation. I've had a few times where I ask it to do something, and then it corrects the stuff that I've just done in the business logic, because it's now different than the test. And of course, I wanted to make the change to the new logic, and then I wanted to adopt it in the test.
Yeah.
But then it just goes and basically just reverts everything that is back to the old business logic to make the test pass, right? And even though I specifically asked it not to do so, it's still doing it. So a few times I've shoved it out the window, and then you sit there with a 500 lines long test of a simple feature because it was an AI who did everything. And you suddenly need to then correct that by hand, which is not a fun job, right?
Actually, I've found that adding the tests last is often a better approach with LLMs, because they just get too eager, like you said. Like you end up with a test that's testing stuff that you never meant to be testing or working that way.
I think the only place where I write like test-driven development is when I do APIs. Then I think it's a way to kind of have the interface defined that you want to end up with, and then implement it afterwards, right?
So why are you writing an API actually for
not
Teach?
In this case, that was another project.
Okay. Yeah.
Here there's no APIs right now. There'll probably be some webhooks at some point, but not right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I don't have any
APIs. The video course, so I need to be able to integrate with other tools. So at some point there'll probably be an API to add a customer or whatever, right? But that's mainly to be able to do a Zapier integration or whatnot, right? I don't expect my customers to be engineers, even though a lot of video course hosts are doing technical video courses. So you don't know.
Yeah, there must be. I've brought out. I've always been a one monitor kind of guy, and many times I've like prided myself on like I can work on a 13-inch laptop screen. That's fine. Then I moved to like a bigger monitor, and it was actually kind of nice. And now I've brought out like a secondary external monitor in like the nerdy portrait mode,
No.
with just like a full screen Claude code running on the side, and it's
Only one?
really nice. It's really nice. Yeah, one at a time. Oh, like 2 tabs in my terminal, but it's like focused on one.
Yeah.
And it's actually
That's
really
almost
nice.
also like the size of a co-founder sitting next to you, right? It's
Yeah,
almost,
yeah.
you do like a terminal background of the outline of a person.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I should. Yeah, someone should create like an avatar, like the Clippy version of Claude Code that just like sits bobbing out, moving its mouse when it's typing. I would actually enjoy that. I think.
I think you could use like something like Synthesia or whatever it's called, like that AI video
Yeah, yeah,
generator to do like a
yeah,
live version of a person you can actually talk to.
yeah. But I think I would prefer some cartoon version, like the Notion AI guy, or maybe that would be just annoying. I don't know. I'm
If this
undecided.
wasn't that expensive, right? Imagine sitting in a VR world where you just have like mob programming, and then like when you just look around the room, you just have your different agents coding, and you can just go
Right.
over and talk to them.
So you can recreate an open office plan.
Exactly. But they don't
With
get angry when you annoy them.
an AI starting to shout in one corner, and
Then the
another
AI
taking a phone call, and
and then take them off when they're ready for the next command.
so, someone puts on some bad music or like plays the same record all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we won't take it so far. I'd like it like a Fight Club style like parking basement. I'm like everyone's bloodied and shirtless, sweaty and typing on their computers, or like a 90s LAN party environment.
Which
Everyone's on.
environment we both enjoy. That's how we grew up, right?
Yeah.
That
Like
would be freaking amazing. And then I could just
CRT monitors.
some Transport Tycoon Deluxe while the agents go and work.
So good. I just installed it again yesterday.
Oh, we should do a remote LAN party one day. That would be great.
Yeah. We should really. Or not remote. I'll go to Svendborg. It's like a beautiful place. One of the most beautiful places in Denmark.
Yeah, I can't really lie. It's really great to live here, but I also, talking about open offices, I actually do miss being in an open office after being remote for 5 years.
Yeah.
I think depending on the kind of stage in a company, like for the first 4 or 5 years, it's just so amazing to be creative in a room together. And
Yeah.
being a solo entrepreneur is fun and great, and I can do whatever the fuck I want, right? But there's also missing of people that you can be creative with, right?
Yeah.
And I think when I find like I call Teach my side project because I'm looking at some bigger projects while doing Teach, and when I find that right bigger projects, I think I'll go straight back to in office.
Yeah. It does have some magic to it.
Yeah, it does. But it also limits who you can work with, right?
Yeah. It's like there's good things and bad things about every solution. I've really been enjoying being remote while the kids were small, for example. Like, there's so many benefits from like being able to just take a walk when you need to, or change the diaper, or whatever it is. So so I've recently been giving Funnymost a glow up, which is sort of tangential to what you're building. It's my comedy hosting platform. And we've done the launch with my friend Ruben, who's a fairly big comedian in Denmark. And what's interesting is that he did 2 versions of his show. So you can buy just the show and get access to streaming at the show, and it's one price. And then there's like more than 3x the price, and there's a premium version where you get some like behind the scenes material and a small like interview he did with a guy and another thing. And you also get like a physical little what do they call it? Like a figurine thing, optimist. Yeah. Even though like but what's funny is that many people are buying the expensive version, which is interesting to me because most of the comedians I've done like quite a lot of these launches by now, and pricing it is interesting because like you can't get that far up before you cost the same as 1 month of Netflix, and then like of course you shouldn't compare yourself to that, but still like there's something in there. But with so many buying the premium version, I think like comedy is just abundant right now. You can get so much on YouTube, even Danish language comedy. There's so many shows for free on YouTube. And if you have like just a few streaming subscriptions as well, you can watch comedy for weeks without running out. So what are you even buying then? If it's not the show, it's like something else. And then for the premium version, I think selling comedy shows like I do, I think that's going to be more of a premium thing. Like you're supporting the artist directly, you get more than the like just the normies, because the show in itself is gonna be like, yeah, of course you can see the show, it's on YouTube, it's on everywhere, but like all the extra material, that's what you're really buying.
I think it's actually all about supporting the artist. Don't you
Maybe
think that's the core of it? Like it would
Maybe.
be interesting to look at the stats, like how many people actually consume that extra material.
Yeah,
Because
I have stats, so I can bring them next time.
yeah, but I think it's a bit the same with video courses, right? You can find everything on YouTube, but then you can also support this one person that you get an intimate relationship through consuming that individual's content, right? And then you want to support that individual, right? And I think, guessing here, I think Ruben and your audience is mainly selling these extras, premium products to their existing audience. It's not something that they go out and sell to someone they don't know already, right? So it's someone who already have a relationship to them. They've probably been in and seen the live show already or whatnot, right? At least they consumed the highlights video on YouTube and so on.
Yeah.
So I think actually the question is a little bit back to Tia as well, your other project, which is how much can I afford to support this person with?
Yeah.
More than it's actually about the core thing that you're buying.
Yeah. I think you're right. There's definitely something there.
And then I also think that pricing is a whole topic in itself. But my core
it's never easy.
after doing pricing for many, many years is that everybody is charging too little.
Yeah.
So I started out with Teach being 5% before I launched, and then I showed it to some friends, and they were like, 5% is too little, take 10. And then I went up to 10, and now I've shown it to a few, like, in the actually audience that I'm selling to, and they was like, 10%, that's cheap.
Yeah.
I should have gone with 20, right?
Yeah, it's just always that.
I've done that so many places where you like just double the prices. Do it every time you do a new sale. A little bit hard with the stuff here, but let's say you sell a physical product or a consultancy or whatnot, right? Double it every time you sell something until people complain about the price.
Yeah.
I've helped people 3x their monthly revenue by just asking them to double their price every time someone complains, and then they could do it 3 times, and then wow, your business is now 3 times bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and there's something more, right? If you double your price, you only have to sell to half as many people, right? To make the same amount of money.
Money to get new customers in the door and all of these things, right?
Yeah. And have the support. If you just like keep the revenue the same, you still have the support. So yeah, there's so many.
And we did the same.
So many dynamics.
The company where we work together, the original price was 89 Danish kroner per employee, which is roughly $12-13, right? And that price was because that was the price of a Big Mac meal, and we were standing in the queue when we had to price it. but that price stayed there for like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Right? And that was
I guess
totally pulled out of my ass, right?
Yeah.
And we never changed it.
Yeah, so funny.
Yeah.
Have you found any time you've done something like this that like do you keep everyone on their like current plans, so like they're grandfathered into whatever plan they have, or do you change the price underneath everyone every time?
Yeah, I think it depends on what changes you are also doing. Often when you do pricing changes, you're also doing tiering changes or packaging changes or feature
Yeah.
changes or whatnot. Introducing a new feature, so now suddenly the product is more valuable and blah, 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 right? I try to grandfather as much as possible. In Trustpilot, where I were VP Growth, we did a huge pricing change to be able to introduce a self-service product. And there we had to change everybody, and we had to then give up on the project in the end, and we ended up changing the pricing back to something where we could
Oh no. Yeah.
because it is so hard, and you're kind of touching every relationship in the business, right?
Yeah.
Now Teach is at 10%. Let's say I want to change that to 20% down the line. I would definitely grandfather everybody who's already on a 10% deal on current courses, and then if I was aggressive, if they started a new course, it would be 20. But I think I will even stick to just grandfathering every teacher on 10%, and then they can just make all the courses they want, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually I have that already coded into Funnymost, that every store can have its own, like either flat or percentage-based application fees, which was because I wanted to be able to experiment with this. And of course, every customer being my like IRL friend makes it a little bit harder because I have to like differentiate between friends in that way. But yeah, I guess being open and honest about it is like everyone is an actual friend, so
Yeah.
they know that okay, they can see that I'm not becoming rich from it. So yeah, they
I
are.
think it's just having like, again, it's back to aligning incentives, right? You want to make enough money so your business becomes a success, but you also want the price to be low enough for other people to be a success with your platform.
Yeah.
The other way around, your customers also want to pay a low enough price for them to make a lot of money, but also a high enough price for you to be successful. Otherwise, the platform would go away, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of finding that sweet spot of pulling both ways, where both sides actually understand both directions the price can move, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And that can be interesting to find that sweet spot.
Yeah. What was I thinking about? Tenor. I've only been lowering my price on Tenor. I was thinking about comparing to, like, for Funnymost, for example. I see my competitors as being like Gumroad, for example, and I think that's wrong.
It's because easy to have Gumroad as competitor because you can sell everything, right?
Yeah,
but it's not really a competitor, right?
Yeah, and my advantage is my niche. Like for quite a while, I was thinking of Funnymost of being like, should I make it into like a generic video hosting platform? So whatever video you're trying to sell, you can do it on Funnymost, or do I like niche it down to comedy? But then in Denmark, there's only so much comedy. So do I like niche it down? But then nobody.
Get out of Denmark.
Yeah, definitely.
That's also Tia, right? That also on a journey of getting out.
Same problem. Yeah. I'm doing some things to to make more of an effort. I've actually I'm going to try some social media marketing on the other side of the summer. I've had a really funny and talented friend to make some content for Tenor. I think I'll tell more about that in the future. But yeah, I do have to get outside of Denmark because it's just.
I think I would rather niche down, but then learning to find other distribution channels than the one which is your friend network that you rely on, right?
Yeah, definitely. And
that just comes back to distribution is the hardest thing about starting a company. Like 10x harder than anything else, right? I don't care about product. In the end, that doesn't matter, right? It's all about finding something that I can distribute at scale to people, right? And the truth is that I'm not that great at distribution. So Teach for me is also a great product where it's red ocean. So there's already multiple players out there. There's already multiple players selling video courses online. But I could also see that there was a lot of people building a video course website themselves when they wanted to sell a video course. Like something was up, right? But I actually just need to learn how to reach them, right? Because I maybe have 2 people in my network who've done a video course. So I cannot just go out and sell to my network. So I need to force myself to make a podcast about making video courses. I need to make a video course about making video courses. I need to run Facebook ads. Like I need to do all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's so far out of my comfort zone that's where I'm learning something new, right? Because now fucking AI have stole my glory time just sitting down coding, right? So I need to spend that time on something that is more valuable than just yelling at a terminal, right?
Yeah, and it's such a different perspective because it's a long game, right? The content game and everything. Like with a new feature, you can test it in the browser, and it's like, oh, this is nice, and now it's done.
You get the heat of deploying something new straight away, right?
Yeah.
And especially with something like both Funnymost and Teach have this almost issue that people are not looking for a video course hosting platform right now. People will see what I'm doing, and then in 3 months when they are making a course, they will maybe come back, right?
Yeah.
So like the signups I've gotten now is all like, I'm in the process of making a course, but I'm not ready to go live straight away, right? So not only do I only make money when they make money, but I also only make money when they're done with the course, right?
Yeah.
So I cannot sit down and build my kind of judgment of the idea on market validation on what happens right now. I kind of have to think about the cohorts. Like I need to look at the people who are signing up in June and then come back in 3 months and see what happened with those people to figure out if it's actually a success, right? And that's a bit interesting, different than other kind of SaaS products that I've built where they can just sign up and solve a problem straight away, right?
I think I should just like start to use words like cohort. That's gonna it's gonna step up my marketing game already there.
Yeah. It will be a cohort video course platform.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just I've used Claude and Cursor and all for the content as well, and it's also getting quite good. So I'm thinking actually, because I've been held back so many years by my own tastes, I guess, that I didn't want to make something that wasn't very good. And I think that's just been holding me back. I think I just need to let loose, and like I've been doing with
our own comfort zones. We're comfort in building features because we are quite good at that, right?
Yeah.
We just need to step in front of the audience and tell people what we're doing, right? And you're also quite good at that. Like, why are you not making a podcast about making audio, about making comedy shows, right?
Yeah, you're right. And about being a creator.
About building features with AI. Like your audience don't care about, or your audience care about it, but your customers don't care about that, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I have a call in 2 minutes. I'll make this short. I think you just need to go back into forcing yourself in the marketing week / the product week setup, where like every second week you only spend time on marketing, and every second week you then get the price of being allowed to build something in the product, right? So I've had a marketing day today where I've started trying to get this podcast up and running, right? And I've already gotten 2 guests who have said yes to be on, right? And I would have procrastinated over cold outreach on Twitter for so long if I didn't force myself into closing down Cursor until I reached out to 10 people, right?
Yeah. Good, Niklas. You have to go. This was very nice. Thank you for being on the show while Peter is out being a popular guy in the rest of the world. I hope we can do this again sometime, and always a pleasure to talk to you.
You too. Talk to you. Bye.
Bye, Niklas.